not sure that the Judgment Day is really working anymore. The incarnation of Judgment Day was all the way back with Edge and Damian Priest at WrestleMania 38, 2022, 23, 24, and it kind of feels like we're gonna get more Judgment Day through 2025. Now, I do give some kudos to Triple H and WWE Creative for keeping a faction relevant for this long. I mean, if it was under the days of Vince McMahon, it would have been one and done. Well, it was gonna end under Edge. Like they were gonna pull a plug on that thing, but it would have been one and done almost instantly. Everyone would have turned on each other. We wouldn't have made it this far. And throughout the whole course of the Judgment Day story arc, we have seen some really cool moments. Rhea Ripley has risen to the very top of the women's division and has become the giant staple core member of the Judgment Day and the whole focus of Monday Night Raw. Dominic Mysterio's character has been an excellent arc in terms of development, going from the timid sidekick of Rey Mysterio, turning on Rey, and developing his character to where it is right now. Comedic elements with Carlito, and R-Truth was in Judgment Day for a second. Damian Priest, Senior Money in the Bank, winning the World Heavyweight Championship, all a Judgment Day with JD McDonough, Finn Balor, everyone draped in gold. And we have seen some really cool twists and turns, right? Rhea and Damian Priest, the breakup of Judgment Day, or newest Judgment Day, the inclusion of Raquel Rodriguez into the group, and of course Liv Morgan is your women's world champion, and seeing her character actually get a lot better from where it used to be. So there are a lot of pluses here, but I can't help but feel that at this point where we are in this whole story, it's starting to get a little stale. Look at Damian Priest for a second. What is he currently doing? I've seen him do a backstage segment where he's talking about how he's going to start focusing on the World Heavyweight Championship once again, and then he's done with Judgment Day. But Finn Balor lost the match, the one-on-one match between the two of them at Bad Blood, and Finn didn't seem like he was done. That match also was kind of mediocre. Felt like maybe a Raw main event match. It didn't really tell a unique story for what the feud was based off of. Finn cost Damian Priest the world title. It should have been this really big moment and match where Damian Priest finally gets his hands on Finn, and maybe even Finn wins and screws Damian Priest once again to further the story. But we got the match at Bad Blood, and Damian Priest seems to be kind of over it. Finn Balor's on the other side saying he's not really done, but we haven't seen any more interactions between the two. And maybe they're saving it for after Crown Jewel, and we're gonna get something at Survivor Series. But if you do that, then it does feel like, okay, we're just rinse and repeat once again. Where is Damian Priest in all of this now? The Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, were also extremely dominant this year against the rest of Judgment Day, to the point of making them look like fools. But they started to pull that back a little bit, and Judgment Day started getting the upper hand on the two of them, rightfully so, because they have the numbers game. But because they made all of Judgment Day look pretty weak against even Damian Priest on his own, it kind of pulls away from their legitimacy. And if Damian Priest does go back and starts feuding again with Finn Balor and JD McDonough and everybody else, is that really what we need at this point? And so what do you even do with Damian Priest? Is he going to be in the forever feud with Finn Balor? Then you have Rhea Ripley. And Rhea is, like I said, arguably the most popular female on the entire roster. Her reception, her pops are massive. She always gets a great reaction. But she is still feuding with Liv Morgan and Dom. And every week now on Raw, it's starting to feel a little bit like they're spinning their wheels. Either the heels or Rhea gets the upper hand. Promo, run down to the ring, brawl, one of them stands tall. Liv and Dom will stand tall, or Rhea runs them all off. And rinse and repeat once again. The story right now I feel is at a critical point to keep fans' interest really high, because it almost feels like you've done everything you can within the faction itself. You've had the turns, you've had Liv assert herself next to Dom Mysterio, the turn on Rhea Ripley. We've had a shark cage match, we've had all of these matchups, you've had Raquel Rodriguez come into the fold, and that in itself has been kind of, it's okay, it's kind of lukewarm. And I don't think that Rhea's popularity is going to go down by any means, but I think that a certain section of the audience and fan base might get a little bit tired now of just seeing Rhea and Liv constantly going after each other. And this all could just be one of the big lulls in the storyline, where we've seen this with like the Bloodline, where there were a couple of months where the Bloodline story started to dip after WrestleMania 39 and they were all on top. Kind of felt like they were spinning their wheels a little bit. And that's what it feels like with Judgment Day for me right now. I'm waiting for the next big story beat, the big moment. I don't have a ton of interest in seeing Rhea and Liv have another match. And by all accounts, we're gonna get there, because Rhea is eventually gonna get that world title title off of Liv Morgan. Question mark is going to be, is WWE going to do this before WrestleMania, or are they going to extend this thing all the way to Mania 41? And if the grand plan for Rhea is to get to Mania 41, where she gets the big crescendo, the giant moment where she overcame the odds, finally defeated Dom Mysterio, she finally defeated Liv Morgan, and they can move the story forward, are they running a risk of making things go on way too long? Because we are at Crown Jewel, where Liv is going to go and fight Nia, and they're doing some good stuff there where they're actually intertwining both shows, both feuds, and making them overlap a little bit. They're frankly doing a little bit more interesting things than they are with Cody and Gunther for this build-up. But then you're going to swing back after Crown Jewel and presumably resume all these feuds. So are we really going to go Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Saturday Night's Main Events, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania between Liv and Rhea with nobody else in the fold? And that's the other concern here with how WWE books a lot of their top talent, is that they are very focused on these 2, maybe 3 superstars at the very top, but nobody else in the process is getting built up. Assuming Rhea Ripley is going to win the title at Mania or before, and once she is done with Judgment Day and this entire rivalry that's been going on for so long, who does she fight next? Who is going to be able to step up to be the next contender? In the women's division on Raw and the way the landscape is right now, there's nobody else there that's even touching Liv and Rhea in their storyline. They haven't built anybody yet that's credible. And so anybody that Rhea's gonna face after this, it's not gonna really feel like a big deal. And that's the worry with Rhea's story. But let's also shift our attention over to tag team champions. There's a tournament going on right now. We are presumably going to get new Raw tag team champions, new world tag team champions. Finn Balor and JD McDonough have held onto these tag titles for a while, and they've had them, they've lost them, and they've got them back again. But this is a similar problem, and the tag divisions across Raw and SmackDown have been very lukewarm for several months, honestly since WrestleMania when they split the titles. And sure, we now have Motor City Machine Guns as the WWE tag team champions, which is awesome. They got those titles, and hopefully that can rejuvenate the tag division over there now that those belts are off of the bloodline. And we're getting this tag team tournament right now on Raw, and this seems like a really good decision because Finn and JD have done nothing, and even while they've been champions, they've kind of ignored the whole point of being tag team champions. They never defend the belts. They're never in peril of losing them. They've never built up any other tag teams to take them on. And so where Judgment Day I think has been lacking and it's not working so much anymore is that they're not building anybody else up. Now you're gonna throw the titles on somebody else. Does JD and Finn even care to get those belts back? Or is it going to be just kind of symbolizing the crumbling, dismantling of Judgment Day overall? Then you have Carlito. Now Carlito's in a little bit of hot water in reality because the comments he made on Monday Night Raw where he kind of went off script and he tried to make a joke about Io Sky and it didn't land. And as I mentioned, Raquel Rodriguez is in there as the heater, as the muscle for Liv Morgan. And that's a good dynamic. But I feel like every moment that she's kind of on TV, it's kind of okay. It's not really a big deal. And we haven't mentioned Liv and Dom and that whole dynamic. That's an interesting story beat because we don't know where that is going to go in storyline over the next year, maybe even 2 years. Even when Liv inevitably loses the title, is Dom and Liv going to be together? Are they going to stay as a team? Are they going to be in a forever feud with Rhea Ripley and Rey Mysterio? But their characters too need to do something new. Dom still gets excellent reactions, and I think at the core, Dominic Mysterio is going to be that centerpiece of this whole Judgment Day story. But eventually, you're going to need to break him off and get him into a real feud with a real single star to get his character to the next level. I worry that for some fans that Judgment Day storyline is getting a little stale and that it is a lot of just brawls and then having the beatdowns, promo segments about who's better, and things just kind of feeling like same old every single week. Now, one positive right now is that we're in a 2-hour era of Monday Night Raw. So we're shortening up those promo segments, we're shortening up the backstage segments where we were getting tons of Judgment Day. The positive was that we were fleshing out their characters so much. The negative is that you start spinning your wheels. What does Judgment Day need to do? Do they need to kick out members? Do they need to add new members to just keep it going? Is Rhea and Liv really gonna stretch all the way to WrestleMania? Is Dom and Rhea gonna get an intergender match before Mania? But eventually you're gonna need to tie up those story beats and move all of these characters forward. Right now it does feel like it's not working so much anymore.